My esteemed listeners, having gone through the session 1 tutorial on preliminaries of C, we got to know some of the programming objects, C programming objects like variables, constants, keywords, statements, instructions, etc., etc. And in this session we will concentrate on doing some simple programs in order to fathom down C programming language. Any programming language, as a matter of fact, comes with two characteristic features. One is semantics, the other one is syntax. The syntax is grammar part of the language, while semantics is the meaning part of the language. We will not concentrate too much on syntactical part of the language because it can be learnt over the days. When we go on doing the programs one after the other, we will come to know the syntax in its totality, while semantics is to be understood thoroughly, because semantics, if we know the semantics, the meaning of the statements that we write, and we will be able to deal with the problems logically and also sensibly. Therefore, the intent of this lecture, this intent of this tutorial is to become conversant with problem solving using C rather than learning its nuances or syntaxes. Okay, we will go through simple problems, and every problem will teach us some important thing about programming. Okay, and the very first one is a very simple program that is written in order to understand some of the things. Okay, this program is written to calculate volume, surface area of a box. Anyway, so here included stdio.h is included. This is standard input output.h. This function indicates as to how the input functionalities or input devices, standard input devices like keyboard and the screen should work. Okay, main, this is the main program. Okay, every C program should start with one and only one main, and this main function, this is called as main function. Main function will receive control from the operating system. When the program is over, it will revert back. It will just give away the control that it had received from operating system. Okay, so main function will have to receive the control from the operating system and will have to give back the control to the operating system. That's enough if you know that. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variables declared. Anyway, a programmer to start with should be knowledgeable about what are the variables that are to be declared and the data type and the type of those variables. Okay, this is having said that this is the problem on volume and surface area of a box. It could be float values also, because a dimension like 12.5 or 16.6 should be accommodated in the calculation. Okay, therefore 3 dimensions are declared: L, B, H. L for length, B breadth, and H volume, VOL, and S underscore area. This is for surface area. Okay, and this is a special type of a problem wherein the values are assigned beforehand. So L equal to 22.5, B equal to 12.2, and H equal to 6.5, and volume is gotten after multiplying L into B into H, and surface area is gotten 2 times L into B, B into H, H into L. There will be 2 surfaces demarcating L into B, 2 surfaces demarcating B into H and H into L, and it is printed. Okay, for printing on the screen, printf function is called, and it is written the volume is colon percentage f is a data specifier or type specifier which can accommodate float kind of values, and printf the surface area is percentage f, okay, slash n, and s area, and here slash n will take the cursor down, and over this, okay, it will take to the next line, and in the next line this statement will be written, this literal will be written, this is called as literal, or a string constant will be written, and answers will be poured over here in this particular section. This is meant for putting the data or putting the answers, whatever, and it will be printed, and it will print something like this: the volume is 1784.25000. And you should notice over here float values are 6 decimal places of accuracy. Okay, this is called a single precision. The surface area is 1000.099976. Okay, and we use different data specifiers, okay, for demarcating certain data types. Okay, percentage f is for float to represent the real values. It will take into its surmise the float values, and this is for decimal values, integer values, this is for character value, and this is for long integer, this is for long float, and this is for unsigned integer. Okay, as we go on doing the programs, we will be able to understand and we will be able to put across the type specifiers, okay, appropriately depending upon the data that is to be read or data that is to be printed. Okay, in this program there is a little improvement in the second program. You can see over here, in this program the marks obtained by a student in 5 different subjects are taken through the keyboard, and aggregate marks and percentage mark are calculated. Okay, so marks are characteristically integer numbers. Okay, therefore integer data type, and there cannot be 99.9 marks obtained in a subject. Therefore integer, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3, mark 4, mark 5 for 5 subjects. Total mark also happens to be an integer, but percentage should be float. It is a float type because 99.9% is also possible. Therefore this variable will just hold the percentage marks. Okay, now we have to read the inputs. Okay, there are 5 inputs, therefore percentage d. Okay, 5 percentage d's are placed without any comma. Okay, we should not do any formatting over here. Okay, we should simply write side by side, and accordingly there should be matching variables with ampersand symbol. Ampersand is an operator which represents address of. Okay, ampersand is also called as address of operator. Okay, it is also called as address of operator. Okay, that means it should be read something like this. Okay, this is characteristically called as address of operator. Okay, it will read the first mark, it will read the first integer value given by the user, and it will store it in address of mark 1. It will store it in address of mark 2. Okay, these are all named memory locations. There are 5 named memory locations, namely mark 1, mark 2, mark 3, mark 4, and mark 5. Okay, total mark is obtained by adding them. Okay, it is very easy. There is nothing to elaborate on this. Percentage is equal to total mark. Total mark is an integer, and 500 point it should be placed. Otherwise, if you do it total mark divided by 500, okay, truncation happens because it becomes a typical integer division. Even if a student gets 99.9, it will be printing only 99. Okay, 99.000, because percentage is declared to be float into 100 in order to convert that into percentage. Okay, aggregate marks is percentage d, total marks is placed. Okay, total mark is the thing which contains the total marks, and it will be placed over here with this explanation, and percentage of marks will be placed over here in front of this with percentage. Okay, this is percent variable which holds the value of the percentage marks scored by the student. And here is a typical output. Okay, 38, 46, 67, 89, and 62. Aggregate marks happens to be 302, and aggregate percentage of marks. Okay, it should be percentage of marks. Exactly. Okay, there is some mistake which has happened over here. Okay, this should be, okay, percentage mark. Okay, I think I can type it over here anyway for the sake of clarity. Okay, it is percentage of marks. Percentage of marks, right? 60.4. And what is to be noticed here is the decimal places, because these are all of single accuracy, therefore single precision, therefore it will be accurate up to 6 decimal places. So 60.400002. Okay, that is the thing that we have got. Okay, and the third program, let us see what are all the changes that are brought into third program. Okay, and here you should notice directly we have scanf statement. Scanf function will scan the input that is given through the keyboard. It's a keyboard based input function, and this is the printf screen based output function. Okay, it will be echoing whatever that we write, whatever that we print, okay, as the answer, right? In this program we shall input two numbers into the memory location named A and B, and let us exchange their contents. Okay, this is a simple thing. Anyway, this is a question which is most often, okay, done by the students. Float A comma B comma temp. Okay, prompt for entering the two values. Okay, this is a prompt. Okay, this will facilitate the user to enter, to do, okay, when the program is in execution. So in the previous case there was no prompt, something like this. Okay, when you just execute this program, cursor will be blinking, and you have to supposedly know the problem. Okay, what is that has been written, and you have to enter the marks. Okay, there is no guidance. If at all any different user uses this program, he will be in misery. Cursor will be blinking, and that person will also be blinking before the screen. So in order to avoid this, it is essential that before input statements we need to put a printf statement, and this is called as prompts. This will user prompt. This is also typically called as a user prompt. Okay, it will prompt the user as to what he or she should do. Okay, it will come out with a statement like enter two numbers, first to A then to B. Okay, values are to be read through the keyboard, therefore scanf is used. Scanf %f. Okay, the first float value is put into A, to the address of A, and the second value is put into the address of B. Okay, temporary variable equal to A. So this is like exchanging the contents of two variables by using another temporary variable. So let us say if one cup contains coffee, other cup contains tea, and if you are asked to exchange, we cannot make a cocktail. Therefore we need to have an empty cup, and first of all this should be vacated. Okay, the contents of A is poured into temp, and A is vacated. Exactly, A will contain its original value. Anyway, it will be overwritten. Okay, there is no question of emptying a variable in programming parlance. Okay, A equal to B. Okay, A will be overwritten by B, and B will be overwritten by whatever that temp contains. Okay, swapping will happen. Okay, there is another method. Okay, without using temp also you can do, but that will involve loss of data. Therefore it is not required to recommend that particular thing. Okay, A equal to A plus B, then B equal to A minus B, and A equal to A minus B, something like this. Okay, that can also be done, but it is not recommended because that incurs loss of the original data. Here data is maintained, and you can see the exchange that is happening. Printf, now A contains %.2f. Okay, that means A will have up to 2 decimal places of accuracy, and B will also have up to 2 decimal places of accuracy, and they will have exchanged, because exchange mechanism has happened over here through by means of swapping. Enter two numbers, first to A then to B, 23.45, 45.67. Now A contains 45.67 while B contains 23.45. Okay, this is a very simple program to understand, but anyway, for the sake of having some kind of a flavor of swapping, because swapping comes in most of the algorithms. Swapping is a preliminary process in most of the algorithms or most of the problems. Okay, this program reads a 4-digit number and sums up its digits. That means if the number is say 1 2 3 4 4-digit number, it will give us 4 plus 3 7, 7 plus 2 9, 9 plus 1 10. 10 should be the answer. Okay, this is how it is being done. Okay, this will also teach us some important points. Okay, we have included stdio.h, of course. Then integer sum, because we need to get the sum of the digits. This is meant for that. Digit, we have to separate 4 first, 3 next, 2 first, 2 next, and 1 next. Okay, we have to separate from 1 2 3 4 1234 4 3 2 1. Let us see how exactly we will do that. Num is the original number. Duplicate, because in the operations there are chances we will lose this number. 1 2 3 4 will no more remain in the memory because it will be successively slashed. Okay, one time it will be 4 will be removed, next 3 will be removed, 2 will be removed, and 1 will be remaining. Therefore there is a loss of data. In order to avoid this loss of data, there is another number, okay, which will have a copy of this number, that is called as duplicate. Okay, dupli stands for duplicating the original data. Okay, printf, enter the 4-digit number. Okay, this is the user prompt. If the program is running, of course the program is put to execution by some other fellow other than the programmer who made this, it will be very clear to him. Okay, so before every scanf function, if you put a printf statement with some kind of a guidance, some kind of a cautionary message, some kind of a help, some kind of an explanation, okay, it will make your program really user friendly. Therefore user prompts are a must before any scanf statement. Scanf %d num, here 1 2 3 4 goes. Let us assume dupli equal to num. Dupli is an empty variable. To this empty variable and a copy of num is made. Okay, dupli will also contain 1 2 3 4 now. Sum equal to 0. This is called as an accumulator. This is meant for possible accumulation. In the beginning it doesn't have anything in its content, therefore it is initialized to 0. It will gather 4 first, then it will add 3. After removing 3 from here, successively this number will also be slashed. First it will be 1234, in the next step it will become 123, next it will become 12, next it will become 1. Okay, now digit equal to num mod 10. Okay, this mod operation will remove the remainder, it will return the remainder. Okay, if 1 2 3 4 is divided by 10, and if a remainder is to be returned, it is num mod 10. So what goes to digit is 4. What goes to digit is 4. Okay, therefore sum equal to sum plus digit. So what this sum gets is okay, just 4, because earlier it has 0. Okay, sum will get 4. This is a comment statement. Okay, you can always put like this, slash star star slash. Okay, then num equal to num by 10. This is division. Okay, this is integer division. Num is an integer, 10 is an integer. So 1 2 3 4 divided by 10 will give us just 123. 123.4 it has to give, but it doesn't give because it is integer division. We have explained, we are taken to understand whenever integer division is involved, there is a truncation. Okay, so the decimal part will be eaten away by the system. So 124 will come over here. Now digit equal to num mod 10. So num no longer 1234. Okay, it has become 124. Now it is 124 divided by, okay, now it is 124 mod 10. 124 mod 10 will give us 4, will give us 123. 123 mod 10 will give us, okay, will give us 3. Okay, 3 will go and add with 4. So now what we get over here is, it is actually 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3. Then number is once again slashed by this integer division. So 123 divided by 10, what we get is 12. Then 12 mod 10 is 2. So 4 plus 3 plus 2. Okay, 4 plus 3 plus 2. Then once again if you continue, sum equal to sum plus digit, 4 plus 3 plus 2. Then digit equal to num 10. Okay, 12 divided by 10 will give us 1. Therefore sum equal to sum plus digit. So now at the end we will have got 4 first, 4 plus 3, 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, the sum of the digits of the number, okay, percentage d is okay, percentage d. We should have written percentage d is percentage d. Okay, I think it should come in a single line, therefore we will reduce the font over here, right, so that it will come in a single line. Now there is some, so this will create a blank line, and after the blank line this will be written the sum of the digits of the number percentage d is percentage d. Okay, here it is duplicate will go over here, and here sum, whatever that sum contains. Okay, sum contains 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and here once again we have written sum in a separate printf statement. Okay, this percentage, I think we can remove this line itself. Okay, right. So enter the 4-digit number 2537. The sum of the digits of the number 2537 is 17. Now it will be printed something like this, just in front of this. So what we learned in this is adding digits of a 4-digit number. Okay, the methodology adopted is, this is what is called a semantics of the language. Methodology adopted is modulo operation, modulo division. Modulo division results in snatching away the last digit as a reminder if you do modulo 10 arithmetic. Okay, and it is a pertinent point to understand as to how exactly this modulo arithmetic will do. Okay, 2 mod 10 is 2. 2 mod 10 is 2. 7 mod 10 is 7. Okay, 10 mod 10 is 0. 10 mod 10 is 0, and 0 mod 10 is 0. It is something like this. 10 mod 10 is, okay, 9 mod 10 is 9. If the numerator is lesser than the denominator, what it returns is numerator. Or instead of remembering that, the technically the mod operation works like this. Okay, if the denominator is r, whatever the numerator is, the mod division will return 0 to r minus 1. It will return 0 to r minus 1. If you have this operator, the denominator is to be 10, modulo 10, what it returns, numerator may be anything, it returns 0 to r minus 1. Okay, this is a very important point that we should remember. Okay, this is the trick that is used while adding the digits of a 4-digit number. If it becomes 5 or if it becomes 6-digit number, it will take hell out of us, and the program would have become very verbose, and we should have so many lines to remove each and every digit from that particular big number. Therefore here exactly the looping constructs would come and play. Okay, the importance of looping construct, the importance of iterative constructs come to play. Okay, we will discuss about them at length whenever we take up that particular session. But anyway, this program has a greater significance. It has taught us how to use modulo operation and how to use division operation, what exactly happens when a number is divided by 10, and what exactly happens when a number is modulo division by 10. Okay, if it is done some kind of a modulo division, right? This program reads an angle in degrees and converts into radians. This is a very simple program. Okay, float radians and degrees, because they happen to be float real kind of variables. And here is a point that every programmer should remember. So programmer should be knowledgeable to decide as to how many variables will come into the picture while solving a problem, and what kind of variables. And it is not only the variables that we read, that we make an input from the external world, but we have to reserve some of the variables for storing the answers also. Therefore here the input is given in degrees, and we will be converting that into radians. Enter the angle in degrees. Okay, enter the angle in degrees and scanf percentage of degrees. Let us say it is 30.5 degree, whatever. Radians equal to degree into pi by 180. It's actually degrees into pi by 180. In place of writing 3.146 or 3.141, okay, the accurate version of this pi is 22 divided by 7. Therefore degrees into 22 point, let us leave the points to the computer itself, or let it be accurate up to 6 decimal places. Therefore it is written something like this: degrees into 22.0 divided by 7 into 180. Okay, so here we have used some kind of a format specifier. 6.2 f degrees equal to 8.3 f radians. Here degrees will go, okay, the degrees will go, and here radians will go. in this particular format specifier. 6.2 indicates, okay, 6.2 indicates over here, okay, something like this, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay, it is accurate up to second decimal place, so some values will be printed over here, okay, value 1, value 2, decimal point, and what is it that is left to Mantissa is 3 digits, okay, 3 digits, therefore we will understand that one. 6 is the total number of spaces and 0.2 is the second decimal place of accuracy, okay, this is 8, the width is 8 numerals or 8 characters, and 3 is the third decimal place of accuracy, okay. Now we can see here, enter the angle in degrees, 90 degrees given, so 90.00 degrees, okay. Among 6 width, 1 2 3 4 5, only 5 characters are utilized, and here remains a blank. Here is a blank, exactly, because it will be left specified, left justified, okay. The entry will be made from in this direction, not in this direction. Degrees equal to 1.571 degrees, okay, it is 8.3, 1 2 3 4 5, okay. Among 8 character width, only 5 character width has been utilized, and whatever the remaining vacant space will be over here and not over here, okay. Therefore it is right justified, okay, right. These are all the things that we learned in the 5th problem, okay. This program reads distance between cities in kilometers and converts it into meters. Let us say integer distance kilometer, let us say it is 20 kilometer, let us say the input is 15 kilometer. In order to convert that into meters, okay, it is to be multiplied by 1000, and the answer cannot be a short integer, because short integer consumes just 2 bytes. 2 bytes means 16 bits, and it can carry values up to 32,767 or so, okay. If the value increases, it should be declared as long integer, otherwise overflow will happen and you will get some kind of a disastrous answers. And you can notice the way in which the variables is named, and this is called as Hungarian representation. The starting letter will be small letter, and here whenever it is made out of 2 words, the beginning of the second word will be in capital letters. Distance, kilometers, and we could have made it as distance in kilometers, distance in meters, okay. It will become unwieldy because it will become too much lengthier, and it will become a handicap rather than becoming handy. But anyway, it is suggested in industry also that the naming of the variable should be in Hungarian representation, or in some of the standards also advocate use of camel case representation, okay. Camel case representation goes something like this. Same thing can be written distance, D capital, okay. I will write only distance, kilometers, okay. This is camel case representation because it represents some kind of a back of a camel. If you trace this, probably that is the reason why it is called as camel case, right. These are all the learnings that is happening in these preliminary sessions, okay. Apart from solving the problem, you are also understanding the nuances of the language or rudimentary aspects of the language in a particular reference to semantics. Clear screen is a function which will clear the screen, okay. Successive execution of the problem will never leave the things that are traced in the earlier program, the things that would appear on the screen, okay. So every successive running of this program will leave us empty screen, okay. That is very interesting to work with, okay. A clean slate like thing, okay. It is something like rubbing the slate or clearing this slate, clearing the screen here, okay. Enter the distance between the cities, percentage D, distance in kilometer. So input need not be long integer because it can go up to say 100 kilometers. See, it can go up to 32,767 kilometers. Therefore, short integer would suffice. Distance in meters equal to distance in kilometer into 1000. Okay, this will blown up because 1000 is a multiplicative factor over here, and here 3 lines are generated, 3 blank spaces are generated. Okay, distance conversion, this heading will appear. So percentage d kilometer equal to percentage ld meters. Okay, in place of percentage d, distance in kilometer will go, in percentage ld, distance in meters will go, distance meters will go. Okay, this will be a huge value, this will be a timid value. We can see over here, enter the distance between cities, 120, 120 is the input, that is 120 kilometers. Now 120 kilometers, distance conversion, before distance conversion, okay, 1 2 3, 3 spaces will be created, and the answer will be printed something like this. Okay, of course you should my listeners should please understand that these programs were executed and brought to the fore. Okay, anyway, minor changes I am doing here and there, okay, for the sake of clarity. This is a very interesting problem that I suppose. This program finds alpha, beta, pi, sigma, mu, plus or minus, lesser than or equal to and greater than or equal to. Okay, and let us say alpha greater than or equal to beta. That is the thing which is to be printed. I will delete this for the sake of clarity. Okay, now I will print it again. Okay, alpha is a printable character. Okay, printable character. It is 224. Its value is 224. ASCII value is 224. Therefore, you hold Alt key and press 224. Then remove the finger. Left finger should hold Alt key, and 224 is to be simultaneously printed. Then both the fingers are to be. Okay, you need to practice this. Okay, alpha is greater than or equal to beta. Beta is Alt 225. Beta will come. So this will present some kind of a very interesting presentation. Okay, whenever we do scientific programs, alpha is usually used for some kind of a coefficient, beta is also some kind of a coefficient, and sigma for summation, and this sigma is for standard deviation, like this. Okay, here there is a pi equal to percentage 6.4f, 3.1416, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, here the lesson is we are placing the constant, float constant, and it will come and get printed. Over here, and pi is generated. Pi is actually pi can be generated with what is that, 2 okay, anyway, there is nothing to mug up over here. I think it should be 251. Anyway, I will try. Okay, Alt 251. No, it is square root. Okay, anyway, pi. Okay, you can refer a table. Anyway, wherever we want to write pi, you can just put it. I will try with 227. Anyway, 227. Yeah, 227. Alt 227 is pi. Then beta, sine 30 degree has come over here. Okay, this is by remembering Alt 248, 30 degree equal to 0.5. Okay, the holding really important, it matters. You have to hold by your left forefinger, okay, Alt key, and the right forefinger should be used, okay, for printing 248. When 8 is pressed, both the fingers are to be taken away. Then exactly this kind of a, so this is very interesting to write sine 30 degree equal to 0.5. Okay, sigma I, as I goes from 1 to n is n into n plus 1 by 2, and sigma can be generated by typing 228 exactly. Okay, I will remove this. Okay, Alt 228 sigma. Okay, this is a very interesting thing. At least some of the scientific notations are to be remembered, and it is all about remembering, and of course they come in the series. There is nothing like mugging up. Okay, it will provide some kind of a user friendly programming, and there is some kind of a professionalism that is built into this particular program. Okay, this is what I want to say. Okay, greater than or equal to is 242. This is 242. I can type it over here only. I will remove this. Okay, Alt 242. Okay, and this is 243. This one is 243. You remove this and say Alt 243. It comes like this. So you can create a wonderful program, simple program. Though it is a simple program, you can show some kind of a professionalism as a student, as a novice teacher, or whatever. This program prints some arithmetic expressions. Okay, square root of 4 equal to percentage is slash and 2. So here two things are told in this particular program. How to place the square root, number is there, percentage is there, type specifier is there, format specifier is there, a constant is there. It need not be variable always. The 2 will come and sit over here in place of percentage d. So what is the output is the square root of 4 equal to 2. Okay, square root can be generated. Square root can be generated by pressing 251. Okay, I will remove this. Alt 251 square root and 4 square. This square, there is no cube. Okay, there is no facility to print cube or to the power of 5 or to the power of 4. It ends there. And square can be had by 253. Alt 253. 4 square equal to 16. Okay, so this is some kind of a wonderful thing. And simple programs can also be done elegantly. That is my point. Okay, this program prints the statements by moving the cursor into a stated location. Okay, we have to, in order to make a cursor to move as per our will and wish, the cursor, when the program is under execution, the cursor should be moved to a particular location. Otherwise, by default, we have to put slash n. If you put one slash n, it will be taken to the next line. 2 slash n's will take it to 2 lines. Okay, after that, after 2 lines, it will be printed, or 2 empty lines are generated. Whatever. This program prints, but this program has some kind of a control over this movement of the cursor or location of the cursor. This program prints the statements by moving the cursor into stated location. Exactly speaking. So include it, but this is to be included. In order that if there is a function, go to xy. In order that this function works, okay, this conio.h, console input output h, conio.h refers to console input output. How exactly functions like this clear screen should behave, how exactly this clear screen and go to xy and some of the functions should function is written in this particular file, header file. These are all called as header files because they are included at the head of the program, in the beginning of the program. Therefore they are called as header files, and header files are provided by the language itself. It comes with the language kit. Therefore there is nothing sacrosanct about this stdio.h and conio.h. Clear screen, we want to clear the screen when the program is in execution. Go to xy 30, 15, 30th row and 15th column. So the cursor will be blinking at 30th row and 15th column. Okay, if this is the computer, somewhere here it will be blinking, not exactly at the left top corner. Okay, if okay, let me give you some kind of a layout of this screen also. If this is the screen, this is the screen. Okay, computer screen is demarcated by the origin somewhere over here. Okay, if you go down, it is positive y. Okay, if you go to the right, it is positive x. You have to remember that. Therefore, it will go to 30th row somewhere over here, 30th row and 15th column somewhere over here. So cursor will be blinking over here, and whatever we say, I am here, will be printed over here. I am here. Then go to xy 10, 15. It will jump completely over here. It will go up, okay, to the 10th row and 15th column because they will come in a vertical line. Okay, go to xy 10, 15. Print. Okay, I think I have to remove this. This is not required anyway. This is better. Okay, doing program here only in front of you. You will also get a feel, and the cursor will be taken above where the line is. I am here. Okay, then once again, now I am here. So now I am here will be printed somewhere over here. Okay, now I am here will be printed somewhere over here. First of all, the line line which is below at 30th row will be printed first. Then upon execution of this printf statement, it will be printed somewhere over here. Okay, right. There is some important points to note. Of course, this is available in any of the good books. Anyway, I will leave it to the reader. I will leave it to the listener. But anyway, with the release of C99, C language is incorporated a Boolean type of data which is after the French mathematician philosopher Georges Boole. It can be it used to be represented as 0 and 1 or 1 and -1 prior to C99. Okay, then now it can be represented as true and false. Okay, just like a literal. Okay, so we have C data types after the release of C99. Void type of data is also there. Integral type of data is that data where decimal points are missing. That's all. Boolean type, character type, integer type. Okay, among integer type there are 3 categories: short integer, long integer, long integer. Short integer will consume 2 bytes, therefore 2 to the power of 16 minus 1, minus 2 to the power of 16 minus 1. Okay, minus 32.768. This is we should be knowledgeable as a programmer as to what is the content of what is the value of the answer that we ought to get. Okay, if we have that knowledge, we can contain that variable within short integer category. If we try to contain a huge value in a short integer category, overflow will occur and the answers that we see on the screen will be disastrous. Okay, long integer will consume 4 bytes and it is equal to this. Anyway, there is no need to mug up this, not required. But anyway, please be knowing that this can consume huge values of answers or huge values of inputs. Okay, depending on the situation. Okay, floating point will have 3 categories. Okay, it could be float, double or long double. Okay, the size can be obtained typically in a program itself. We need to use this operator, size of operator. Size of double will give us 8 bytes. Okay, that is the thing. Complex is there. Complex data type is also there in C99. It is float complex, double complex, long double complex. Okay, this is used to represent complex numbers. So in this session, I think we have come to the close of this particular session. In this session, we saw some of the simple problems, simple programs, or we also to be satisfied for having solved some of the primitive problems, and we also learned some of the syntactical aspects and how to print the output and how to receive the input. Okay, what are all the modalities that we have to use, and some of the data type specifiers or format specifiers. These things are the learnings of this particular session. Okay, until we turn to next session. Okay, goodbye.